She sits in the federal courtroom with her hands folded and her back perfectly straight. The judge notices the small medal pinned inside her jacket. He stops mid-sentence, demands to know why a contractor nurse is wearing military decorations in his court. She explains its protocol, required for federal proceedings. He leans forward, calls it costume jewelry, tells her to take it off. Now. Her fingers move to the medal, hesitate for just a second. Her thumb brushes across something engraved on the back that no one else can see. The judge's voice rises. "I won't ask again, take that off." She unpins it slowly, mechanical, precise, muscle memory that doesn't match her job. Then a door slams in the hallway. Her body shifts into a defensive stance. Eyes assess exits. Hand moves to her hip where nothing is. She catches herself, freezes. But 3 people saw it. The young Navy attorney in the back is staring at his phone. His face has gone pale. He starts typing rapidly, sends a message. 30 seconds later, the courtroom doors open. 3 uniformed officers enter. Behind them walks a 4-star general. His eyes lock on the woman holding the medal. Everyone is silent, waiting. He stops directly in front of her and salutes. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? Drop your location in the comments and subscribe if you want to hear more stories like this. Because what happens next changes everything. The medal she's holding? It has 2 names engraved on it. 2 men who didn't come home. And the judge just called it a costume. The alarm doesn't sound because Gwen Fairfax is already awake. She sits on the edge of her bed in complete darkness, hands resting on her knees, spine straight as rebar. The digital clock reads 04:58, 2 minutes early. The room around her exists in a state of institutional precision. Bed corners pulled hospital tight. Shoes aligned beside the door at perfect 90-degree angles. A worn leather medical bag sits upright next to a gunmetal gray case with a combination lock she hasn't opened in 3 years. She stands, moves to the center of the small apartment, and drops into push-up position without hesitation. The count is automatic, mechanical, 1 through 47. She stops at 47. Always 47, never 50. Her breathing doesn't change. She rises and walks to the bathroom where the shower runs cold for exactly 4 minutes, while she stands under the stream with her eyes closed and her fists clenched at her sides. The coffee is black, no sugar, no cream. She drinks it standing at the kitchen counter with her eyes fixed on the window overlooking the parking lot 4 floors below. A silver sedan pulls in at 05:22. Same car, same time, same parking spot. The driver is a contract security officer who works the night shift at the naval facility. Gwen knows his schedule better than he does. Her fingers move to the inside of her jacket hanging on the chair. They find the small metal pin there and trace its edges. The gesture is unconscious, habitual. She doesn't look at it, doesn't need to. Her thumb brushes across the engraved text on the back. 2 names. She pulls her hand away and finishes the coffee in 3 swallows. A helicopter passes overhead. The sound cuts through the morning silence like a blade. Gwen freezes, coffee cup suspended halfway to the counter. Her eyes track the sound with predatory precision, calculating distance, altitude, direction. The noise fades toward the naval base 6 miles east. She sets the cup down with deliberate care and exhales slowly through her nose. The drive to the federal courthouse takes 22 minutes. She knows this because she's driven it 14 times in the past month preparing for today. The route never changes. Highway 64 to Granby Street, left on Brambleton. Park in the public lot 3 blocks from the courthouse entrance. She arrives at 08:12, 18 minutes early. The courthouse smells like floor wax and old wood. Gwen walks through the metal detector without breaking stride. The security officer nods at her. 3rd time this week. He doesn't ask for identification anymore. She takes the stairs to the 4th floor instead of the elevator. Her footsteps echo in the concrete stairwell with metronomic regularity. Courtroom 4B is already filling with people when she enters. Attorneys in dark suits cluster near the plaintiff's table, shuffling papers and whispering. A hospital administrator she recognizes from the Naval Medical Center sits in the 2nd row checking his phone. Two naval facility contractors occupy the back bench looking bored. This is a routine civil dispute. Medical supply irregularities, contract violations, procedural bureaucracy that will probably settle before lunch. Gwen takes a seat in the witness gallery, third row, aisle seat. Her back doesn't touch the chair. She folds her hands in her lap and watches the room fill. Her eyes move constantly, cataloging. An attorney fumbles with his briefcase, paralegal, fresh out of law school based on the way he defers to the older woman beside him. The bailiff positions himself near the judge's entrance. Former military, Marine Corps based on the haircut and the way he carries his weight forward on the balls of his feet. A younger man in Navy dress uniform sits in the front row observer section. Lieutenant, JAG officer. His ribbons indicate deployment to Bahrain and a commendation for legal services. The metal beneath Gwen's jacket shifts slightly when she adjusts her position. Morning light from the high windows catches the edge of it. A brief flash of bronze and blue ribbon. The bailiff calls the court to order at 0847. Everyone rises. Judge Callahan enters from his chambers looking irritated. Late 50s. Federal appointment going on 2 decades. He's been on the bench long enough to treat routine hearings like an inconvenience. He sits heavily and waves everyone down with an impatient gesture. The proceedings begin with procedural formalities. Case number, parties present, legal representation confirmed. Gwen's attention doesn't waver, but her focus shifts between speakers with tactical efficiency. The lead attorney for the plaintiff drones through an opening statement about contract compliance and financial accountability. The defense attorney counters with jurisdictional questions and evidentiary challenges. Judge Callahan interrupts both of them twice. His tone carries the weight of someone who has heard these arguments 1,000 times and found them tedious every time. He shuffles papers on his bench and glances at the clock. Behind schedule, again. Gwen's eyes track the bailiff's position, the exit locations. The lieutenant in the front row who keeps glancing at his phone beneath the bench. Standard courtroom awareness. Nothing unusual. Then the light shifts again. The metal catches the sun. This time Judge Callahan sees it. He stops mid-sentence. His eyes narrow. The courtroom goes quiet as he leans forward and peers down at the witness gallery. "Ma'am?" His voice cuts through the silence like a gavel strike. "The witness in the gray jacket." Gwen looks up. Her expression doesn't change. Neutral, attentive, waiting. "Is that a military decoration you're wearing in my courtroom?" The question hangs in the air. Several attorneys turn to look. The hospital administrator shifts in his seat. Gwen's hand moves to the metal instinctively. Not defensive, protective. Her fingers rest on the fabric of her jacket where the pin holds. "Yes, Your Honor." Her voice is quiet, clear. "It's a service decoration. I was advised to wear it during federal proceedings involving my contract work." Judge Callahan's eyebrows rise. "This isn't a military tribunal. We don't need theatrical displays here." The word theatrical lands like a slap. Gwen's expression remains unchanged, but something tightens around her eyes. A fractional shift that most people would miss. The lieutenant in the front row doesn't miss it. His attention locks onto her with sudden intensity. "I'm not attempting to create a display, Your Honor. I was instructed that the decoration should remain visible during official federal matters related to my clearance status." Clearance status. Judge Callahan repeats the words with open skepticism. "You're listed as a contractor nurse for the Naval Medical Facility. What clearance status requires costume jewelry in a civil supply dispute?" Costume jewelry. The phrase echoes through the courtroom. 2 attorneys exchange glances. The hospital administrator looks uncomfortable. Gwen's thumb moves across the back of the metal where the engraved names rest against her chest. She doesn't respond immediately. Doesn't trust her voice to stay level. "It's not costume jewelry, Your Honor. It's a Defense Superior Service Medal awarded for operational service. I'm required to maintain it as part of my security protocols." Judge Callahan leans back in his chair. "I've been on this bench for 19 years. I've seen veterans try to leverage their service for sympathy in civil proceedings. I won't have it in my courtroom." The accusation is clear. Calculated manipulation. Playing for advantage. Using military service as emotional theater. Gwen's jaw sets, but she says nothing. The silence stretches, uncomfortable, tense. The lieutenant in the front row has his phone out now. His fingers move rapidly across the screen. His eyes keep shifting between the device and Gwen's medal. Something about the design, the ribbon pattern, the specific configuration of colors. "Remove it." Judge Callahan's voice carries the finality of judicial authority. "I won't ask again." Gwen's hand moves to the medal. Her fingers find the clasp. They hesitate, just for a fraction of a second. In that pause, her thumb brushes across the engraved text one more time. Two names etched into bronze: Reeves, Nash. She takes a slow breath and begins to unpin the decoration. The courtroom watches. Attorneys pretend to review their notes, but their eyes track her movements. The hospital administrator stares at his hands. The bailiff maintains his position, but his expression has shifted. Something about the moment feels wrong to him. Too heavy for what should be a simple procedural correction. Gwen removes the medal with mechanical precision. The movement is too practiced, too exact. Muscle memory from years of performing tasks under orders. She holds it in her palm and closes her fingers around it. The medal is warm from resting against her chest. "Thank you." Judge Callahan's voice drips with dismissive satisfaction. "You can sit down. And next time you're called to testify in federal court, leave the costume at home." The word costume again. Deliberate. Cutting. Gwen lowers herself into the chair. Her spine remains straight. Her face remains composed. But something has changed in the set of her shoulders. A weight settling that wasn't there before. The proceedings resume. The plaintiff's attorney continues his statement about supply chain documentation and audit discrepancies. The words blur together. Background noise. Gwen sits with the medal clutched in her hand and her eyes fixed on a point somewhere in the middle distance. The lieutenant in the front row is no longer pretending to pay attention to the case. His phone screen shows a military database search, ribbon configurations, medal classifications, service decorations authorized for classified operations. His face has gone pale. He types something rapidly and hits send. 10 minutes pass. Judge Callahan is questioning the defense attorney about evidence submission protocols when a door slams in the hallway outside the courtroom. The sound is sharp, sudden, metallic. Gwen's body reacts before her mind can stop it. Her posture shifts. Weight transfers forward. Knees bend slightly. Her free hand moves toward her hip where nothing is. Her eyes snap to the courtroom entrance, calculating distance, assessing threat, identifying exits. Then she catches herself, freezes. The movement aborts halfway through. She forces her body back into stillness, returns to the seated position with deliberate control. The entire sequence takes less than 2 seconds, but 3 people saw it. The bailiff's eyes narrow. The hospital administrator looks confused, and the lieutenant in the front row stares at her with dawning recognition. That wasn't a startle reflex. That was combat training, automatic threat assessment, the kind of muscle memory that gets drilled into you until it becomes instinct, the kind that takes years to build and never completely fades. Judge Callahan doesn't notice. He's focused on the attorney stammering through an explanation about discovery deadlines. The rest of the courtroom has already moved on, but the lieutenant hasn't. He's typing again, faster now, more urgent. Gwen realizes her mistake. Her hand tightens around the metal until the edges cut into her palm. She focuses on the pain, uses it to anchor herself, to stay present, to maintain the careful facade she's built over 3 years of civilian life. The bailiff is still watching her. His expression has shifted from neutral observation to active assessment. He's seen that kind of movement before, recognizes it. 20 years in the Corps teaches you to spot your own. The lieutenant's phone buzzes. He glances at the screen. His eyes go wide. He looks at Gwen, then at his phone, then back at Gwen. He stands abruptly. The movement draws attention. Judge Callahan pauses mid-sentence. "Lieutenant Raines," the judge's voice carries warning. "Is there a problem?" Lieutenant Raines stands at attention. Old habits. "Your Honor, I need to request a brief recess. There's been a development that requires immediate attention." "Denied. We're already behind schedule. Sit down." Your Honor, this concerns the witness credentials and security clearances related to the case. It's urgent. Judge Callahan's face darkens. I said sit down, Lieutenant. Whatever administrative matter you think is urgent can wait until we break for lunch. Lieutenant Raines hesitates, glances at Gwen. She meets his eyes and gives the smallest shake of her head. Don't. Not worth it. He sits slowly, but his hand stays on his phone. The hearing continues. Evidence is submitted. Procedural motions are argued. The hospital administrator is called to provide testimony about supply acquisition protocols. His answers are careful, practiced. He avoids looking at Gwen. 30 minutes pass. The courtroom has settled into the rhythm of bureaucratic tedium when the double doors at the back of the gallery open. Not slammed, opened with purpose. 3 people enter in succession. 2 Navy captains in service dress blue. 1 commander. Their uniforms are impeccable. Ribbons and medals aligned with geometric precision. They move down the center aisle without hesitation. The bailiff straightens. The attorneys turn. Judge Callahan looks up with visible annoyance. This is a closed proceeding. Unless you're scheduled witnesses, you need to wait outside. The officers don't respond. Don't stop walking. They take positions along the side wall near the witness gallery, standing at parade rest, eyes forward, waiting. Then a 4th figure enters, older, taller. 4 stars on his shoulder boards catch the overhead lights. General Marcus Hale walks into the courtroom like he owns it. Not arrogant, just certain. The kind of certainty that comes from commanding men in places where mistakes mean body bags. His uniform carries more ribbons than wall space. Combat action ribbon, bronze star with valor device, Purple Heart with 2 oak leaf clusters, Afghanistan campaign medal, Iraq campaign medal, Global War on Terrorism expeditionary medal, and others, many others. His eyes are gray steel. His face is weathered leather. He's 72 years old and looks like he could still do 100 push-ups without breaking rhythm. The courtroom goes silent. Not the uncomfortable silence of tension, the heavy silence of presence, of authority that doesn't need announcement. Judge Callahan rises halfway from his bench. General, I don't know what this is about, but this is a federal courtroom in the middle of active proceedings. Unless you have business here, I'll have to ask you to wait outside. General Hale doesn't look at the judge. His eyes are locked on Gwen. She's still sitting in the 3rd row, still holding the medal. Her expression has changed for the first time since entering the courthouse. Recognition, relief, dread, something that might be all 3 at once. The general walks past the attorneys, past the hospital administrator, past Lieutenant Raines, who has stood at attention. He stops directly in front of Gwen. The courtroom holds its breath. And then General Marcus Hale brings his right hand to his brow in a crisp, precise military salute. The gesture is formal, official, the kind of salute reserved for ceremonies and moments that matter. He holds it without moving, without blinking. Gwen's hand trembles, the medal pressed against her palm. Her eyes glisten, but no tears fall. She sets the medal carefully on the bench beside her and stands. Her body moves with the same mechanical precision from before. She returns the salute with perfect form. Elbow at 90 degrees, fingertips touching her brow. 3 seconds. Then both hands lower simultaneously. The courtroom is frozen. Attorneys stare. The hospital administrator's mouth hangs open. The bailiff has moved his hand away from his belt. Recognition in his eyes now. The 3 officers along the wall stand motionless. Judge Callahan finds his voice. General Hale, I don't understand what's happening here. This woman is a contract nurse called as a witness in a civil supply dispute. Why are you saluting her in my courtroom? General Hale finally turns to face the judge. His voice is quiet, controlled, but it carries to every corner of the room. Your Honor, the woman you just humiliated is not a contract nurse. Her name is Captain Gwendolyn Fairfax, and the medal you ordered her to remove represents actions that saved my life and the lives of 4 other men during a classified operation in 2019. The words land like mortar rounds. Judge Callahan sits down slowly. The color drains from his face. The decoration you called costume jewelry is a Defense Superior Service Medal. It was awarded for tactical combat casualty care, provided under direct enemy fire during a hostage extraction operation designated Sandglass. The operation remains partially classified. The award citation remains sealed. But I was there. I know what she did. Gwen remains standing, silent, her hands at her sides, the medal still on the bench where she placed it. General Hale continues. Captain Fairfax is a former Navy SEAL medical specialist. She completed basic underwater demolition SEAL training in 2012. One of 12 women to complete the program. One of 3 to receive combat deployment authorization for Tier 1 operations. She served 6 years with Naval Special Warfare Development Group, 4 combat deployments, 3 theaters of operation. The revelations hit like hammer blows. The courtroom erupts in whispers. Attorneys turn to each other. The hospital administrator stares at Gwen like he's seeing her for the first time. Lieutenant Raines is still at attention, his salute sharp and unwavering. During Operation Sandglass, Captain Fairfax provided medical support for a joint task force extraction 40 kilometers inside hostile territory. When the primary extraction team was ambushed, she maintained treatment on 3 critical casualties, while coordinating close air support and directing civilian evacuation under sustained enemy contact. Judge Callahan has gone completely still. His hands grip the edge of the bench. She performed a field thoracotomy in the back of a moving vehicle while taking small arms fire. She kept a 17-year-old Marine alive for 42 minutes until we reached the extraction point. She did this while wounded, shrapnel in her left shoulder from the initial IED strike. She refused evacuation until every casualty was secured. General Hale's voice doesn't rise, doesn't need to. The facts speak for themselves. 4 men came home from that operation because of her actions. He pauses. The weight of what comes next is visible in the lines of his face. 2 men did not. The silence that follows is suffocating. Gwen's eyes close, just for a second. When they open again, they're fixed on the medal lying on the bench. The engraved names facing up now, visible to anyone close enough to see. Sergeant Alonzo Reeves, Corporal Timothy Nash. If you've ever met someone who served quietly without asking for recognition, share their story in the comments below. And subscribe to hear how this moment changes everything that follows. Because what the general says next forces the judge to confront exactly what he just dismissed as costume. The silence after General Hale's words is absolute. No one moves. No one speaks. The 2 names hang in the air like ghosts demanding recognition. Gwen stands perfectly still with her eyes on the medal lying on the bench. Her breathing is controlled, measured. But her right hand is curled into a fist at her side. Lieutenant Raines lowers his salute slowly. The 3 officers along the wall remain at attention. The bailiff has shifted his weight forward, recognition clear in his expression now. He served. He knows what those names mean. Judge Callahan's face has gone from pale to ashen. His mouth opens, closes. He looks at Gwen, at the general, at the medal with the engraved names visible to everyone close enough to see. His hands release their grip on the bench and fall to his lap. General Hale turns back to Gwen. His voice drops lower. Meant for her, but caring enough for the courtroom to hear. I got Lieutenant Raines's message 20 minutes ago. I was in a Pentagon briefing. I walked out, took a helicopter from Andrews. I'm here because that medal matters, because what you did matters, and because no federal judge gets to call it costume. Gwen's jaw tightens. She nods once, doesn't trust her voice yet. The general continues. His words are precise, factual, but weighted with memory. The operation was supposed to be a clean extraction. 12 hostages, mixed civilian and military. Intelligence said light resistance. They were wrong. We hit an IED 4 kilometers from the target site. Primary vehicle disabled. 3 casualties immediate. You were in the trail vehicle. Medical support. Non-combat role on paper. He pauses. The courtroom is frozen. You dismounted under fire. Ran 30 meters across open ground to reach the disabled vehicle. Found me pinned in the wreckage with a severed femoral artery. I was conscious. I watched you work. You held compression on my leg with one hand while calling for close air support with the other. Your voice never wavered. You gave grid coordinates, threat assessment, casualty count, all while keeping me from bleeding out. Gwen's eyes close. The memory is written across her face. Not pain, something deeper, the weight of moments that don't fade. They cut me out after 11 minutes. You didn't leave my side, not when the second IED detonated, not when small arms fire started hitting the vehicle. You maintained pressure the entire time. When they loaded me onto the medevac bird, you moved to the next casualty, a Marine, sucking chest wound. You performed a needle decompression in the field, then a tube thoracostomy when that wasn't enough. In the back of a moving vehicle, under fire, with shrapnel in your own shoulder. The hospital administrator is staring at Gwen like she's a stranger, because she is. The quiet contractor nurse who processes supply requisitions and reviews medical protocols, who arrives early and leaves late, who never speaks about her past, who keeps her head down and her work clean. General Hale's voice hardens. You kept that Marine alive for 42 minutes, long enough to reach the extraction point, long enough for the trauma team to stabilize him. He was 17 years old, first deployment. He's 24 now, married, has a daughter, because you wouldn't let him die. Gwen's fist unclenches. Her hand shakes slightly before she forces it still. 4 men came home, but you lost 2. Sergeant Alonzo Reeves, Corporal Timothy Nash. They were in the primary vehicle. The IED strike killed Reeves instantly. Nash survived long enough for you to reach him. You worked on him for 6 minutes. Chest compressions, airway management, combat gauze, everything. But he was gone. Too much damage, too much blood loss. The general's voice doesn't break, but something shifts in his tone. I watched you close his eyes, watched you take his dog tags. You were covered in blood. Yours, mine, his. And you had to leave him there because we were still under fire, and you had living casualties to transport. You carried those dog tags for 3 years before you could bring yourself to send them to his family. Gwen's breathing changes, faster, shallower. She's fighting to maintain control, to keep the careful walls she's built from cracking. Lieutenant Raines takes a step forward. His voice is quiet but clear. Your Honor, I recognize the medal configuration from Captain Fairfax's service record. The Defense Superior Service Medal, with the specific ribbon pattern she's wearing, is only authorized for classified joint special operations. When I cross-referenced the dates of her service in the operational window, I found a sealed citation. I couldn't access the details, but I could see the classification level. And I knew General Hale was ground commander for JSOC operations in that theater during that period. He looks at Gwen. I sent him her name and the case number. He confirmed her identity and her actions. That's why he's here. Judge Callahan finally finds his voice. It's hollow, uncertain. Captain Fairfax, I owe you an apology. I spoke without knowledge, without understanding. What I said was inappropriate and disrespectful. Gwen looks at him. Her expression is unreadable. She doesn't accept, doesn't reject, just acknowledges with the smallest nod. The judge continues. If I had known your background, your service, I never would have questioned the decoration. That's the problem, Your Honor. General Hale's voice cuts through. Not angry, just firm. You shouldn't need to know someone's background to treat them with respect. The medal alone should have been enough. The fact that she told you it was protocol should have been enough. But you assumed, you dismissed, you humiliated, and you did it publicly. The rebuke is surgical, precise. Judge Callahan has no defense, no response. He sits in silence. One of the Navy captains along the wall steps forward, older, late 50s. His ribbons include a Navy Cross and multiple Purple Hearts. He salutes Gwen. She returns it. Captain Fairfax and I served together during her second deployment. I was her commanding officer for a joint operation in Syria. I watched her treat casualties under mortar fire for 6 hours straight. She saved 11 lives that day. I put her in for a Silver Star. It was downgraded to a Navy Commendation Medal because the operation was classified and they couldn't justify the public citation. but everyone who was there knows what she did. He lowers his hand. She's the best combat medic I ever worked with, bar none. And when she left the teams 3 years ago to transition to civilian work, we lost one of the finest operators in the community. Gwen's mask finally cracks, just slightly. Her eyes glisten, but she blinks it back, forces the emotion down, locks it away with everything else she doesn't let herself feel. General Hale picks up the medal from the bench. He holds it carefully, reverently. This decoration represents Operation Sandglass, but it also represents every other mission she ran, every other life she saved, every other time she put herself between danger and the people who needed her. And you ordered her to remove it, called it costume jewelry, told her to leave it at home next time. He extends the medal toward Gwen. Permission to reattach your commendation, Captain. It's not a question. It's a restoration. A public acknowledgement of what was taken, what was diminished. Gwen takes the medal. Her fingers are steady now. She pins it back to her jacket with the same mechanical precision from before. But this time everyone understands what that precision means. Years of training, years of discipline, years of performing critical tasks under conditions that would break most people. The click of the clasp echoes in the silent courtroom. General Hale reaches into his uniform pocket, pulls out a second medal, identical to Gwen's, same ribbon pattern, same design. He holds it up for the courtroom to see. I wear the same commendation, awarded for the same operation. We both carry the same names. He turns the medal over. Engraved on the back in small, precise letters are 2 names, Reeves, Nash. These men have no voice in this courtroom. They can't defend themselves. They can't speak to their sacrifice. But this medal speaks for them. And when you ordered it removed, when you called it costume, you diminished their memory. You diminished their service. You diminished everything they gave. The weight of the accusation settles over Judge Callahan like a physical thing. He looks smaller, diminished. The authority of his position suddenly irrelevant in the face of what's been revealed. The hospital administrator stands slowly. His voice shakes slightly. Captain Fairfax has worked at our facility for 3 years. She's processed medical supply contracts, reviewed protocols, trained staff. She never mentioned her background, never spoke about her service. I had no idea. She wasn't required to tell you. General Hale's response is matter of fact. Her transition to contractor status was part of a veteran integration program. Her security clearance was maintained for specific DoD medical contracts. Her service record was sealed to protect operational security. She was instructed to maintain her commendations during federal proceedings because they're tied to her clearance documentation. But she was also told to keep a low profile, to integrate quietly, to serve without drawing attention. He looks at Gwen, and she did exactly that. She followed orders. She kept her head down. She did her job with the same competence and precision she brought to the battlefield. She asked for nothing, expected nothing. Until today, when a federal judge decided her service was theater, her sacrifice was costume. The courtroom has transformed. The same people who watched Gwen get humiliated 30 minutes ago now look at her with something close to awe. The same judge who ordered her to remove the medal now can't meet her eyes. The same attorneys who glanced away uncomfortably now stare openly. Lieutenant Raines steps closer. Captain Fairfax, if there's anything you need, anything at all, the JAG office is at your disposal. Gwen speaks for the first time since the general entered. Her voice is quiet but clear. Thank you, Lieutenant. I appreciate the support. The words are simple, formal, but they carry weight. She's acknowledging the gesture, the recognition, the attempt to make this right. The commander along the wall salutes, then the second captain. The gestures ripple through the uniformed personnel in the courtroom. Even the bailiff brings his hand up in a crisp salute. Former Marine recognizing former SEAL, service recognizing service. Gwen returns each salute with perfect precision. The movements are automatic, drilled into muscle memory through years of training. But there's something else in them now. A quiet acceptance, a willingness to be seen. General Hale turns back to Judge Callahan. Your Honor, I recommend this hearing be postponed. Captain Fairfax's testimony involves classified contract work. Her security clearance needs to be properly documented in the court record before she can speak to any matters related to her employment. That documentation will require coordination with the Department of Defense. It's a polite fiction. Everyone in the room knows the hearing is over. The case will settle. The contractors will agree to whatever resolution keeps this incident from becoming public. No one wants the story of a federal judge humiliating a decorated combat veteran in open court, making headlines. Judge Callahan nods slowly. The hearing is postponed pending review of witness credentials and security clearances. We'll reschedule once proper documentation is in place. His voice is hollow, defeated. He knows his career just took a hit it won't recover from. Federal judges have lifetime appointments, but they don't have immunity from professional censure, from whispered conversations in courthouse hallways, from attorneys who make sure every veteran who comes through their courtroom is treated with appropriate deference. The bailiff calls for all to rise. Judge Callahan exits quickly, doesn't look back. The door to his chambers closes with a heavy thud. The courtroom exhales, tension releasing in a wave of hushed conversations and shifting bodies. Attorneys pack their briefcases. The hospital administrator makes a hurried exit. The contractors slip out quietly. But the uniformed personnel remain, standing in loose formation around Gwen and General Hale. The general extends his hand. Gwen shakes it. The gesture is formal, but there's warmth beneath the military protocol. Shared history, shared trauma. The bond that forms between people who've seen the worst of humanity and chose to serve anyway. "How are you doing, Captain?" His voice is lower now, private, meant just for her. "I'm managing, sir, day by day." "The nightmares?" "Less frequent, but they haven't stopped." He nods, understanding written in every line of his weathered face. "They never completely stop, but they get easier to live with. You know that." "Yes, sir." "You should have called me. When you transitioned out, when you needed support, my door was always open." "I know, sir, I just needed to do it on my own. Figure out who I am when I'm not in uniform, when I'm not running missions, when I'm not responsible for keeping people alive under fire." General Hale studies her face. "And have you figured it out?" Gwen looks at the medal pinned to her jacket, at the names engraved on the back. "I'm working on it." Lieutenant Raines approaches with a folder. "Captain, I took the liberty of printing your service record summary, the unclassified portions. I thought you might want it for your records." Gwen takes the folder, opens it. Her official Navy photograph stares back at her, younger, harder, wearing the SEAL trident on her uniform. The eyes in that photograph carry a different weight. The eyes of someone who's seen combat, who's lost teammates, who's made impossible decisions in impossible situations. The summary lists her deployments, her commendations, her qualifications. Advanced tactical medic, combat diving supervisor, military freefall parachutist, close quarters battle instructor. The list goes on. Skills that took years to acquire, years to master. Skills that have no application in civilian medical contracting. She closes the folder. "Thank you, Lieutenant." One of the captains steps forward. "Captain Fairfax, there's a reunion next month. The team from Sandglass, the ones who made it home. We gather every year. Remember the ones who didn't. You should come." Gwen hesitates. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "You don't have to be ready. You just have to show up. The rest of us will carry you if we need to. Same way you carried us when it mattered." The offer hangs in the air. An invitation back into a world she left behind. A community that understands what she's been through, what she carries, what she can't talk about with anyone who wasn't there. "I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking." The courtroom is nearly empty now. Just the cluster of uniformed personnel and Gwen standing in the witness gallery. The morning light has shifted, brighter now, harsher, exposing every detail with unforgiving clarity. General Hale checks his watch. "I need to get back to the Pentagon. Left some very annoyed flag officers in a briefing room. But this was more important." "Sir, you didn't have to come. Lieutenant Raines could have handled it." "Yes, I did. Because you would have sat there and taken it. You would have removed the medal. You would have walked out of this courtroom carrying that humiliation alone. And I couldn't let that happen. Not to you. Not after everything you've done. He steps back, brings his hand to his brow one final time. The salute is sharp, respectful, final. Gwen returns it, holds it until he lowers his hand. Then they both drop their salutes simultaneously. Take care of yourself, Captain. That's an order. Yes, sir. The general exits with the 3 officers following. Their footsteps echo in the hallway, growing fainter, then gone. Lieutenant Raines is the last to leave. He pauses at the gallery entrance. Captain, if you ever need anything, legal support, administrative help, someone to talk to who understands, call me. He hands her a business card. Lieutenant Daniel Raines, Judge Advocate General's Corps, office number, cell number, email. I mean it, anytime, day or night. Gwen takes the card. Thank you. He nods and exits. The courtroom door closes behind him with a soft click. Gwen stands alone in the empty courtroom, the same space where she was humiliated 45 minutes ago. But it feels different now, smaller, less imposing. The judge's bench is just wood and fabric. The seal on the wall is just metal and paint. The authority that seemed absolute is revealed as conditional, fragile, subject to challenge when it oversteps. She looks down at the medal pinned to her jacket, runs her thumb across the ribbon. The names on the back press against her chest. Reeves, Nash, always with her, always present. A weight she carries because someone has to remember. Someone has to speak their names. Someone has to make sure their sacrifice isn't forgotten. Her phone vibrates. A text message from a number she doesn't recognize. She opens it. This is Marcus Hale. I don't text often, but I wanted you to have my direct line. The Pentagon switchboard routes through too many people. If you need me, call this number, day or night. I owe you my life. That debt doesn't expire. She saves the number, doesn't respond, doesn't need to. The gesture speaks for itself. Another text arrives, this one from Lieutenant Raines. The JAG office pulled the courthouse security footage. We have a record of everything that happened today. If you decide to file a formal complaint against Judge Callahan, you have documentation. Your choice. No pressure. Just options. Gwen stares at the message. A formal complaint would mean investigations, depositions, public scrutiny. Her service record would become part of the court filing. Her transition to civilian life would be examined. Her privacy would be shredded. She deletes the message, not out of fear, out of exhaustion, out of a desire to move forward rather than remain locked in combat with a system that doesn't understand what she's been through. She exits the courtroom. The hallway is empty. Her footsteps echo on the marble floor, the same hallway she walked through 3 hours ago. But she's different now, not because anything fundamental changed, but because the careful facade she maintained has cracked. The people who know her civilian identity now know her military past. The separation she worked so hard to maintain has collapsed. The elevator is empty. She rides it to the ground floor in silence. The lobby is busy, people moving through security, attorneys conferring with clients, court staff processing paperwork. No one looks at her. No one knows what just happened on the 4th floor. She walks to her car in the public lot 3 blocks from the courthouse, the same route she took this morning. But the city looks different, sounds different. The helicopter that passes overhead doesn't make her freeze. She tracks it automatically, identifies it as civilian medevac based on the flight pattern and altitude, then continues walking. The car is exactly where she left it. She sits in the driver's seat and closes the door. The silence is immediate, complete. She rests her forehead against the steering wheel and takes 3 slow breaths. Her hands are shaking now, the adrenaline crash hitting hard, the control she maintained throughout the entire confrontation finally releasing. She lets herself shake, doesn't fight it, just breathes through it until her body settles. The folder Lieutenant Raines gave her sits on the passenger seat. Her service record summary, her official history, the parts that can be declassified, the parts that don't include mission details or operational specifics, just dates, locations, commendations, qualifications. She opens it again, studies the photograph. The woman in that picture seems like a stranger. Same face, same eyes, but carrying a different weight, living a different life. Her phone rings. Unknown number. She almost doesn't answer, then decides she's done hiding. This is Gwen. Captain Fairfax, this is Diane Chen. I'm the Director of Veteran Services at Norfolk Naval Medical Center. General Hale called me 20 minutes ago. Told me what happened in court today. I want you to know that you have the full support of this facility. If you need time off, counseling services, legal assistance, anything at all, it's yours. Gwen closes her eyes. Thank you. I appreciate that. I also want to apologize. You've worked here for 3 years. We had no idea about your background, your service. We should have known. We should have supported you better. You weren't supposed to know. That was the point of the transition program. Quiet integration, low profile. Well, the profile just got significantly higher. General Hale made it clear that you're not just a contractor. You're a decorated combat veteran who saved lives under impossible conditions. That deserves recognition, respect. I just want to do my job, process contracts, review protocols, help veterans get the medical support they need. And you will, but you'll do it with people who understand who you are, what you've done, what you've sacrificed. The conversation ends with promises of follow-up meetings and support services. Gwen sets the phone down and stares out the windshield at the parking lot. Cars coming and going, people living their lives, unaware of the drama that unfolded in courtroom 4B. She starts the engine. The drive home takes 22 minutes. Same route, same traffic patterns. But everything feels different. The careful separation between her military past and civilian present has collapsed. The people she works with know. The people she reports to know. And soon others will know. Word spreads. Stories get told. Her apartment is exactly as she left it. Bed made with hospital corners. Shoes aligned. The locked metal case sitting beside her medical bag. She walks to it. Kneels down. Her fingers find the combination lock. 3 years since she opened it. 3 years of keeping the past locked away. The combination is automatic, muscle memory. The lock clicks open. Inside the case are photographs. Her SEAL team in full combat gear, desert background, exhausted smiles, arms around each other. 8 faces, only 6 still alive. Letters from families she saved. Handwritten notes thanking her for bringing their sons home, their husbands, their fathers. A folded American flag. Presented to her at a memorial service she attended in civilian clothes because the operation was classified and she couldn't wear her uniform. Dog tags that aren't hers. Nash, Timothy J. The tags she carried for 3 years before she could bring herself to return them to his family. A second medal, identical to the one she wears. This one awarded for a different operation, a different theater, different names engraved on the back. She picks up the photograph of her team, traces the faces with her finger, stops on 2. Reeves, Nash, young, strong, alive in this frozen moment before everything went wrong. The weight she carries isn't just grief, it's responsibility, survivor's obligation, the need to remember, to honor, to make sure their sacrifice means something. She sets the photograph back carefully, doesn't close the case this time, leaves it open on the table. A small act of integration, of allowing past and present to coexist in the same space. Her phone buzzes one final time. A text from an unknown number. She opens it. Captain Fairfax, this is Rebecca Nash, Tim's sister. General Hale called me, told me what happened today, told me you were there. I want you to know that our family has never forgotten what you did, what you tried to do. You gave Tim every chance. You fought for him. That means everything to us. Thank you. Gwen reads the message 3 times. Her vision blurs. This time she lets the tears fall. If you know a veteran who served quietly and never asked for recognition, tell us their story in the comments. And subscribe because what happens next shows how this moment transforms not just one courtroom, but an entire community's understanding of service and sacrifice. 3 weeks pass before Gwen returns to Norfolk Naval Medical Center. The time off was mandatory. Director Chen's orders backed by General Hale's recommendation. Gwen spent the first week alone in her apartment trying to process what happened in the courtroom. The second week, she drove to Arlington National Cemetery and stood at Section 60 for 4 hours in the rain. The third week, she finally opened her laptop and responded to the 17 messages waiting in her inbox. She arrives at the medical center at 05:45, 15 minutes earlier than her usual schedule. Old habits. The parking lot is nearly empty. Just night shift personnel finishing their rotations and early morning contractors arriving for equipment maintenance. She parks in her assigned spot, row C, space 47, always 47. The walk to the main entrance takes 2 minutes. She times it automatically. The security guard at the front desk looks up when she approaches. His eyes widen slightly. He stands. "Captain Fairfax, welcome back." The use of her rank catches her off guard. She's been Gwen for 3 years, Ms. Fairfax on official documents, but never Captain, not here. "Thank you, just Gwen is fine." "Yes, ma'am, yes, Gwen." He sits back down, but his posture remains formal, respectful, different from before. She takes the stairs to the 3rd floor. Her office is at the end of the east corridor. Small, windowless, perfect for someone who wanted to disappear into bureaucratic work. The door is closed. A small envelope is taped to it, her name written in neat block letters. She opens the envelope. Inside is a handwritten note on hospital letterhead. "Captain Fairfax, your office has been relocated to 5 North. Director Chen will brief you at 0800. Welcome back. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Park, Medical Administration. 5th floor, North Wing. That's senior staff territory. Division heads, program directors, not contractors who process supply requisitions." She takes the stairs up 2 more flights. The 5th floor is quieter. Carpeted hallways instead of linoleum. Actual windows with views of the naval base. Room 5 North 12 has her name on a new placard. Captain Gwendolyn Fairfax, Veteran Medical Services Coordinator. The title is new. The office is 3 times larger than her previous space. Windows overlooking the base, a proper desk, bookshelves, a small conference table. The metal case from her apartment sits on the desk, open. Her team photograph displayed in a simple frame. The folded flag rests beside it. Her second medal mounted on a small stand. The object she kept locked away for 3 years now visible, public, integrated. She sets her bag down slowly, approaches the desk like it might be a mistake. But everything is deliberate, intentional. Someone moved her things, arranged them carefully, with respect. A knock at the door. Director Chen enters, late 40s, Navy veteran herself based on the small anchor pin on her lapel. She extends her hand. "Captain Fairfax, welcome to your new office. I hope the accommodations are acceptable." Gwen shakes her hand. "This is more than I expected, more than I need. It's exactly what you've earned. GDC Hale made it very clear that your service and your expertise deserve appropriate recognition. The Veteran Medical Services Program has been operating without proper leadership for 2 years. You're going to fix that. I'm a contractor. I process supply orders. You were a contractor. You process supply orders. Now you're the program coordinator, full staff position. DoD civilian grade equivalent to your military rank. Benefits, retirement. Security clearance fully integrated with your new responsibilities." The shift is disorienting. 3 weeks ago she was anonymous, invisible. Now she has a title, an office, public acknowledgement of who she was, who she is. "I don't know what TDC." Say yes. Say you'll help us build a program that actually serves the veterans who come through this facility. The ones who need someone who understands GDC how they've been through. What they. Gwen looks at the photograph on her desk. 8 faces, 6 alive, 2 gone. The weight she carries, the responsibility she can't set down. "Yes, I'll do it." Director Chen smiles. "Good, because you have your first staff meeting in 20 minutes. Conference room down the hall. I'll introduce you to the team. The meeting room holds 12 people: medical staff, administrative personnel, veteran services coordinators. They stand when Gwen enters, not out of military protocol, out of respect. Someone started a slow clap. Others join. The sound builds until the entire room is applauding. Gwen stops in the doorway, uncertain how to respond. She's trained to lead under fire, to make decisions in crisis. But this kind of recognition feels foreign, uncomfortable. Director Chen steps forward. Everyone, this is Captain Gwendolyn Fairfax, former Navy SEAL medical specialist, 4 combat deployments, multiple commendations for actions under fire, and as of today, our new Veteran Medical Services Coordinator. The applause continues. Gwen nods, accepts it without knowing quite what to do with it. Eventually, the room settles. People take their seats. The meeting begins with introductions, names and roles, challenges and goals. The Veterans Program is understaffed and underfunded. Wait times for appointments run months. Counseling services are backlogged. Administrative barriers prevent qualified veterans from accessing care they've earned. Gwen listens, takes notes, asks questions. Her mind automatically organizes the information into tactical assessments, resource allocation, priority targeting, obstacle identification. The same analytical framework she used planning medical support for combat operations now applied to bureaucratic systems that fail the people they're supposed to serve. By the end of the meeting, she has a preliminary action plan, immediate priorities, long-term goals, resource requirements. She presents it in clean, precise language. No wasted words, no unnecessary detail, just facts and recommendations. The room is quiet when she finishes. Then one of the senior nurses speaks. Commander Williams, 20-year Navy veteran, trauma surgeon who served 3 deployments before transitioning to administrative work. Captain, that's the most comprehensive program assessment I've heard in 5 years. When can you start implementing it? Today. If I have authorization to reallocate existing resources and submit requests for additional staffing. Director Chen nods. You have authorization. Make it happen. The meeting ends. People file out. Several stop to introduce themselves personally, to thank her for taking the position, to express relief that someone who understands is finally in charge. Commander Williams is the last to leave. She pauses at the door. Captain, I served with the Marines in Fallujah, 2004. I know what it's like to come home and try to integrate, to carry things you can't talk about. If you ever need someone who gets it, my door is open. Thank you, Commander. Sarah, please, we're colleagues now. Gwen returns to her office. The photograph on her desk catches the morning light. She picks it up, studies the faces. Reeves on the left, grinning, always grinning. Nash in the center, serious, focused. The kid who wanted to prove himself, who pushed harder than anyone else, who didn't make it home. Her phone rings. General Hale. She answers. Captain, how's the first day going? Overwhelming, sir, but manageable. Good. I wanted to let you know the reunion is scheduled for next month, November 12th, Arlington. We're gathering at Section 60, then dinner afterward. The whole team. Well, everyone who's left. Gwen's throat tightens. I'll be there, sir. Glad to hear it. And Captain, what you're doing at the medical center, building that program, that matters. You're still saving lives, just in a different way. Thank you, sir. The call ends. She sets the phone down and stares at the photograph for another moment. Then she opens her laptop and begins drafting the staffing request that will double the counseling capacity for veteran services within 60 days. The work consumes her. Hours pass without notice. She looks up at 14:30 to find a young Navy corpsman standing in her doorway. Early 20s, clean uniform, nervous energy. Captain Fairfax? I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm Corpsman Martinez. I'm starting trauma rotation next month, and I heard you have combat medical experience. I was wondering if you'd have time to review my field protocols. Gwen looks at him. Really looks. Sees herself at that age, hungry to learn, desperate to be ready, terrified of failing when it matters most. Do you have your protocols with you? Yes, ma'am, right here. He holds up a worn notebook. Sit down, let's go through them. They spend 90 minutes reviewing tourniquet application, airway management, chest seal placement. She corrects his grip on the trauma shears, demonstrates proper needle decompression angle, explains the importance of talking to casualties while you work, keeping them conscious, giving them something to focus on besides the pain. Martinez absorbs everything, takes notes, asks smart questions. When they finish, he stands and extends his hand. Thank you, Captain, this means everything. I want to be ready. I want to be good enough. You will be. Just keep training. Keep practicing. When the moment comes, your hands will know what to do, even if your mind freezes. He nods, salutes. She returns it automatically. He exits, and she's alone again. The next day brings 2 more corpsmen requesting training. The day after that, 4. By the end of the week, she has a waiting list of 16 medical personnel who want tactical combat casualty care review. She schedules group sessions, builds a training curriculum, requests permission to use the simulation lab for practical exercises. Director Chen approves everything, assigns her an assistant, provides funding for equipment. The program expands rapidly. Within 2 weeks, Gwen is running twice-weekly training sessions for medical staff deploying to combat zones or serving on ships with limited surgical capabilities. The work is exhausting, satisfying, purposeful. She's using skills she thought she'd left behind, knowledge she assumed had no civilian application. But these young corpsmen and nurses need exactly what she can teach. They need someone who's been there, who's worked under fire, who knows what it's like when everything goes wrong and you're the only thing standing between a casualty and a body bag. 1 month after returning to work, she receives a message from Lieutenant Raines. Judge Callahan has quietly retired from the federal bench. Early retirement for personal reasons. No public statement. No acknowledgement of what happened in courtroom 4B. But everyone in the legal community knows. Word spreads. Stories get told. A federal judge who humiliated a decorated combat veteran and got called out by a 4-star general. The kind of story that defines a career's ending. Gwen doesn't feel satisfaction, just closure. The humiliation has been answered. The disrespect has been confronted. She can move forward without the weight of unfinished business. November 12th arrives cold and gray. She drives to Arlington National Cemetery alone, parks in the visitor lot, walks to Section 60 where the newest graves from Iraq and Afghanistan rest in perfect rows. White headstones, precise spacing, the ordered dignity of military burial. The team is already there. 6 men in civilian clothes gathered around 2 headstones. General Hale, the 2 captains from the courtroom, 3 others she served with during different deployments. They turn when she approaches, smiles, handshakes, embraces that last longer than strictly professional. They stand together in front of the graves. Sergeant Alonzo Reeves, Corporal Timothy Nash. The names carved in white marble, dates of birth, dates of death, service branch. Nothing about the operation that killed them, nothing about the mission that remains classified. General Hale speaks first, talks about Reeves's sense of humor, how he could make the whole team laugh even in the worst conditions. Nash's dedication, his determination to prove he belonged, his refusal to quit no matter how hard the training became. Others share memories, small moments, inside jokes, the human details that make the names mean something beyond statistics. Then it's Gwen's turn. She steps forward, kneels beside Nash's headstone. Her hand rests on the cold marble. Tim, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I tried. I gave you everything I had, but it wasn't enough. I've carried that for 6 years, carried your tags, carried your name. Wondered if there was something else I could have done, some different technique, some faster intervention. Her voice cracks. She doesn't stop it, doesn't lock it down, just lets it break. Your sister texted me, after everything that happened. She said your family never blamed me, never questioned whether I did enough. That means more than I can say. But I still needed to tell you, needed to say it out loud. I'm sorry. She stands, moves to Reeves's grave, places her hand on his headstone. Alonso, you were gone before I reached you. The IED killed you instantly. But I GK checked anyway, did compressions anyway. GDK couldn't accept it, Couldn't believe you were gone. You were supposed to make it home, get married, have those GDK you always talked about. Instead, you're here. And I'm the one who had GDK parents. Had to watch your mother collapse when she opened the door and saw me standing there in dress uniform. She closes her eyes. I still hear her scream, CDK, in quiet moments, when I'm alone. I hear it, and I remember that delivering that notification was harder than anything I did on the battlefield. The team stands in silence, bearing witness, holding space for grief that doesn't fade with time, just becomes something you learn to carry. General Hale steps beside her. They died serving, doing what they believed in, protecting others. That means something. Their sacrifice means something. And the fact that we're here, that we remember, that we speak their names, that ensures their service wasn't in vain. They stand together for 20 more minutes, then walk back to the parking lot as a group. The dinner is at a restaurant in Alexandria. Private room, round table, the geometry of equality. The conversation flows, deployments, transitions, challenges of civilian life. Several of the team are still active duty. 2 have transitioned to contractor work. 1 teaches tactical medicine at the Special Operations Medical Training Center. They share updates, laugh at old stories, remember fallen teammates with affection instead of just grief. Near the end of the meal, one of the captains raises his glass. To Reeves and Nash, to all the ones who didn't make it home. We carry them forward, we speak their names, we make sure their sacrifice matters. Everyone raises their glass. To Reeves and Nash. Gwen drinks, feels the burn of whiskey, feels the warmth of community, feels something that might be healing beginning to take root. The drive home takes 3 hours. She arrives at her apartment after midnight, tired but settled. The evening was hard, necessary, good. She opens the metal case on her living room table, takes out the photograph of the team, studies it one more time. Then she picks up her phone and opens the photo gallery, scrolls to recent images. A group photo from her training session last week. 15 corpsmen and nurses gathered around the simulation mannequin, smiling, confident, ready. She places the 2 photographs side by side, past and present, combat team and medical staff, different uniforms, different contexts, same purpose, protecting others, serving with competence and dedication. The integration is complete, not perfect, not painless, but real. She's no longer hiding who she was, no longer separating her military past from her civilian present. They coexist, they inform each other, they create something stronger than either alone. Her phone buzzes. A text from Corpsman Martinez. Captain, we just got deployment orders, heading to the Mediterranean in 3 weeks. Thank you for the training. I feel ready. If something happens, I'll know what to do because you taught me. She types a response. You'll do great. Trust your training. Trust yourself. And remember, you're never working alone. Your team has your back. Always. She sets the phone down, walks to the window, looks out at the city lights. A helicopter passes overhead. She watches it without freezing, identifies it as Coast Guard based on the navigation lights and flight pattern. Then she just watches it disappear into the night sky. The medal is still pinned to her jacket hanging on the chair. She takes it off, holds it in the light. The names on the back catch the reflection. Reeves, Nash, always with her, always present. But now they're not the only names she carries. Martinez, the other corpsman she's training, the veterans she's helping through the services program, the living who need her skills and knowledge just as much as the fallen needed her on the battlefield. She pins the medal to a small display board on her desk, next to her team photograph, next to her second commendation, next to the folded flag. The objects are no longer hidden, GG longer locked away. They're integrated into her daily life, visible reminders of where she's been, what she's done, who she's become. The locked metal case sits empty now. She closes it one final time, but she just leaves it closed, ready to open again when she needs to remember, when she needs to reconnect with the parts of her past that shaped her. Her laptop is open on the desk, the staffing proposal for expanded veteran services. She's requesting 4 additional counselors, 2 case managers, funding for peer support groups, space for a dedicated veteran resource center within the medical facility. Director Chen will approve it. General Hale will support it. The bureaucratic machinery will process the request and eventually the resources will arrive. And when they do, more veterans will get the help they need, the support they've earned, the recognition that their service and their sacrifice matter. She works until 200, finalizing the proposal, drafting implementation timelines, building training curricula for new staff. The same focus and dedication she brought to mission planning, the same refusal to accept half measures or acceptable losses. When she finally closes the laptop and prepares for bed, she stops at her desk one more time, picks up the photograph of her team, traces Reeves and Nash one final time. I'm still serving, still fighting, just different battles now, different objectives, but the same commitment, the same refusal to let people down when they need me most. She sets the photograph back in its place, returns to the window. The city is quiet now, dark except for scattered lights. The naval base is visible in the distance, ships at dock, security lights marking the perimeter. Somewhere in that facility, young corpsmen are sleeping before early morning training rotations. Veterans are receiving treatment. Medical staff are preparing for the next day's challenges. And tomorrow she'll be there, teaching, leading, serving. The weight she carries hasn't disappeared. Reeves and Nash are still gone. The missions that took them remain classified. The grief doesn't fade. But it's been joined by something else: purpose, community, the knowledge that her skills and experience still matter, still save lives, still make a difference. She returns to bed, sets her alarm for 0500, 2 hours before she needs to be at the facility. Time for the morning routine, the push-ups, the cold shower, the coffee standing at the window. But tomorrow when the helicopter passes overhead, she won't freeze. She'll just watch it, acknowledge it, continue with her day. Because she's no longer running from her past, no longer hiding from who she was. She's integrated it, accepted it, built something new on the foundation of everything she's learned. The metal on her desk catches the last light before she turns off the lamp. The names engraved on the back are invisible in the darkness, but she knows they're there, always there. Reeves, Nash, and now all the others she serves, the living and the dead, the ones who made it home and the ones who didn't. All of them part of the same continuous mission: to serve, to protect, to refuse to quit when people are counting on you. The mission continues. Different battlefield, same commitment. And she's finally at peace with carrying both the weight of who she was and the purpose of who she's become. Have you ever known someone who served with quiet dignity and never sought recognition, but changed lives in ways most people will never see? Share their story below and subscribe for more accounts of the quiet heroes who walk among us, carrying weights we can't imagine while serving with a dedication that never wavers.